Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. All right, here we go. I mean, it's never ending. More and more and more and more. It just keeps going on and on. Let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off with Secret Weapon Sophie and Edward. You guys know how much I love them. The Earl and Countess of Wessex arrived in the Cayman Islands. Now, while they're there, Edward, who is patron of the Central Caribbean Marine Institute, is going to celebrate their 20th anniversary on Tuesday. He's also going to go see the Cayman Islands Coast Guard and the regiment and the Cadet Corps. Not to be outdone by her husband, Sophie is a global ambassador, and so she is going to go to the 100 Women in Finance event. She's going to visit a children's camp at the YMCA, and she's going to open the 54th Cayman Islands Agricultural Show. And of course, while they're there as well, the two of them are going to give 2 Duke of Edinburgh Gold Awards while at the Government House. I will be following all of this, and I will be reporting on it this week as we go. Next up, I told you guys that Eugenie was in LA at an art show. We know she used to work in an art studio. Well, of course, everybody started in with the whole, oh, they're moving to LA and she's probably visiting Harry and Meghan. No, I don't think so. Not after the looks we saw them giving when they were leaving the funeral. I did notice, however, that she was wearing a purse that cost 5,300 pounds. Couldn't help but see that one. Next up, I told you guys that Camilla was doing this new Coronation campaign to recognize people that volunteer their time. A lot of the stars have stepped out to help. I love it. It's taking off well. All right, moving on. Moving on to Princess Catherine. She went this morning to Oxford House Nursing Home in Slough, I hope I'm saying that correctly, to hear about delivering high-quality, patient-focused care and how that's at the center of this facility. Now, of course, she was greeted outside. Then she went inside and pancake making, people, pancake. Now, I personally think this didn't go well because the pan wasn't hot enough. If the pan's not hot enough, then you can't really flip. But she gave it a try. You can see it. But what she ended up producing was essentially just a big blob of dough. I don't know that it would have been edible. She did hit the pan, but it just didn't look good. I mean, she obviously had a lot of fun doing it, but she herself dubbed the pancake a congealed blob. All right. Now, you should know Catherine told one of the residents named Sheila that she gets her pancakes stuck on the floor or on the ceiling, and that she was going to be making pancakes with the children that evening. Now, Catherine's main thing is to talk to people. She's always been good at that. And this nursing home care home that she's in is award-winning. This young lady she met is Nora, who's 109 years old, and she said her favorite food is kidneys and Brussels sprouts. Next up, she sat and played interactive football with a resident whose name is Jean. That looks like a television screen set into the table. That looks pretty cool. Now, at another point, she sat down and spoke to a resident, but the thing they were sitting in front of was an interactive train journey. In other words, when you looked out the window, it looked like you were on a moving train. I love stuff like that. We don't have stuff like that here in the United States. I wish we did. You know, she met lots of residents, and you could tell that she was really enjoying the conversations. But some of these pictures just warm the heart, like this one. It's just amazing how just touching somebody and having a conversation with them, the difference that can make in somebody's life. So after going around and spreading joy, it was time to go outside and meet the staff that work at this award-winning place. And yes, it's award-winning. Now, one of the staff members she spoke to is named Linda Jeffrey. That's who you see her chatting with. And Linda said that her favorite thing is to make sponge cakes with cream and jam. And of course, Kate said that's her favorite cake. Then, of course, she received her gorgeous flowers, and then it was time to leave. She waved at everybody as she was going, looking gorgeous, looking effortless, as she always does, and she left the facility. All right, time to move on now. Next up, Sarah's Secret pointed this out on Twitter. I love it. This is a ball signed by the residents of a place called Atherstone in Warwickshire. And this celebrates the king before the 2023 Atherstone Bowl game. And the game honors a match between Lincolnshire and Warwickshire in 1199. Now, back then, teams used a bag of gold while they were playing. How cool is that? I love stuff like this. Okay, you guys have to forgive me for the pronunciations here. The king welcomed the ambassador of the European Union, Pedro Antonio Serrano de Harom, and Her Excellency, the ambassador of Niger, Akatu Bulama Kane. All right, next up, Rendell Designs created some artwork to commemorate the king's coronation in May. It is a fabulous piece of artwork. I love that. And they're selling it. You can get a framed print or an illustrated tea towel, a mug, the Coronation Blend box of tea, or a magnetic shopping pad. Fabulous. And you know I'm going to be ordering, right? All right, you guys, let the memes begin. This first one is from Good Boy Goo2, and the second one is from Meghan Arcus1. Yeah. All right, moving on. You know, this scene with the princess Instagram loving you-know-what wife crying really got me thinking, how many times have we heard that Meghan was crying or she was on the floor crying? I mean, she was seen crying at one of the Commonwealth services. Then we heard that Prince Harry arrived home to Frogmore to find her on the floor, crying. Then, she claimed that Catherine made her cry before the wedding. Then she cried herself to sleep the night of the Oprah interview. Then she collapsed in the security guard's arms crying, saying, "I tried so hard." Then she cried in front of the Hermes blanket. Remember, she's crying while she's sitting there. Then she was crying in the video diary. Then she was, let's not forget, she was also crying while pregnant watching Cirque du Soleil. I mean, that's all this woman does. She's crying. Oy. All right. Now, they're saying that Harry and Meghan are going to face a challenge after pledging to stop talking about the royal family. And I agree, they're going to have a problem because their entire brand is on attacking the royal family. Now, the coronation is coming up. They're not going to be put in a good place in the chapel if they even bother to show up. And so I think they're just going to continue slagging off. Let's not forget, Harry currently is adding more chapters to his book. Now, let me just say, if they can't move on, royal staffers could start leaking things to the media. Like, I think the people who work at the palace have had enough of these two and their constant whinging about everything. And I think people have just had enough of them. So, yeah, they could start leaking what he didn't leak in the spare. Could be. All right, I just had to touch on this. We've all seen the articles that Adele and Ed Sheeran passed on performing at King Charles's coronation, and they're calling it a big snub. Well, Ed Sheeran has responded and said, nobody's reached out to him about performing at the coronation. It's not true. He actually has a concert to do, but then he's free the week after that. So, no, the story is untrue. And of course, they reached out to Adele's reps, but they hadn't heard back from the time they wrote the article, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the exact same thing. She was never asked. So now articles are coming out telling Harry and Meghan if they do show up, they shouldn't try to pull any stunts. For instance, they're going to fly all the way to the UK just to throw Archie his 4th birthday party. And then when the family members can't go, like what happened last time because they're already scheduled to do other things, they're going to cry victim. Now, it's coming out that there are 6 main reasons that Harry and Meghan could use to decline the coronation invite. Personally, I don't think they're going to decline. I think they're going to show up. But these are the reasons that they could give. Number 1 is their dismal public opinion ratings. That's right, people in the UK really dislike them. Number 2 is to avoid a family feud, but let's be honest, the family won't discuss anything with him other than the weather, so that's kind of a lame excuse. Number 3 is the increasing public ridicule that they're facing. And the fact that people really don't want him there. They're going to be booed, but the question is what else could happen to them? Number 4 is increasing security concerns, which is actually a really stupid reason, because when he's at these official events and he's living at Frogmore Cottage, they have security. Number 5 is reduced importance, because the truth is they have absolutely no role to play there except to distract people. And number 6, we've already discussed, that's Archie's birthday, which is, a joke. Who's going to miss the coronation because of a 4-year-old's birthday party that he won't even remember? Now, it should be noted, it's being reported that Meghan feels excluded from the coronation plans, and therefore, if she can't take center stage, they're not going to go. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And I might add, the more that they've trashed all of this mess, Prince Harry has sparked a surge in coronation bookings. Everybody wants to be there now. Even people who weren't royalists before, who wanted nothing to do with this, now want to be at that coronation, myself included. All right, I had to bring this up. We've all heard Meghan Markle's been having meetings with people. We've all heard through the years she has political ambitions. She apparently wants to be a senator and run for the California Senate seat that's currently occupied by Dianne Feinstein, who's close to 90 years old, and so she's probably going to retire. So here is a woman who wants to leapfrog into this office. She's never been even a PTA president. She's never been a council member. She's never been a governor. She's never been a mayor. She's never done anything. She doesn't have a good track record. She's a proven liar. And she's known as the Duchess. I would think that would preclude her. With all of that, they're saying that state has 40 million people in it, bigger than the whole population of Canada. I think it'll be interesting to see if she's allowed to do that. If there's a runoff where she has to answer questions, she won't last 5 minutes. My God. All right, moving on to Shouty Shola. She posted this and it says, I have received a serious threat from National Action London notifying me of their intention to kill me and my family. They name my husband and home address. They don't consider killing me murder. They call it an execution. This letter was through my front door. And then she puts up a picture of This Is Britain. So basically, she's getting a taste of what's been going on with the royals because she's been mouthing off about them and they're getting death threats right and left. So now she's getting a death threat and it's like, this is Britain, this is unfair. Yeah, maybe you should shut up a little bit. All right, here we go. Believe it or not, it's now coming out that Harry and Meghan are hoping to sue South Park. Okay? We all know that that's not really possible. Other people have tried, they have failed. But, of course, you know how I love Australian news. They had something to say. Listen to this.
Harry and Meghan might be taking legal action against South Park.
Yeah, it might be. There's rumblings about this. We certainly know that they don't seem to have a great sense of humour about themselves. I said to you last week when we showed this clip, I said very interestingly, and I think cunningly, they did not use any actual reference to Prince Harry or to Meghan. They were not named as such, which doesn't mean they couldn't pursue legal action, but it certainly means it would complicate and slow things down. I think if they did go down this path, it'd be a really bad look. If anything, it would only create even more interest in what the send-up is all about. In America, there's also a defence in defamation cases of satire and parody, and that's clearly what would be called in, to say this is a send-up, lighten up, we're just having a laugh, we don't mean to be mean. They would also have to show damages. It can't just be a case of this hurt our feelings or we didn't find it funny. They would have to be able to show that their brand had been damaged in some fashion. And of course that in itself would be a really interesting debate to have.
Yeah, this was, of course, after they embarked on a worldwide privacy tour as part of that skit.
You call it privacy, I call it book promotion.
That's right, that's right.
And docu-series behind the scenes of their life series.
Okay, it's all a matter of perspective, isn't it?
Yes, of course, they're going to sue. Because really, they have no sense of humor. And I think we all know that it's not going to go well. But here's what another person said online. Listen to this.
This would be such a funny lawsuit if it went ahead.
No, but everyone will turn. If you haven't turned on them, you will now, because you just think, what a bunch of tossers not being able to laugh at themselves. And particularly the Brits. What are the Brits saying about this, Russell?
Well, I think we're all a bit exasperated by the whole thing. I mean, not just the Brits, but worldwide. I mean, the Americans seem to have fallen out of love for them. I don't know what the Aussies across the board think, but I think it's one of the things with Harry and Meghan. I mean, Harry was the darling prince. They're both the darling couple. Everybody was full of the joys of spring when they came onto the scene and rapidly turned. We've had this 2 to 3 years of tumultuous claims and counterclaims, fallouts with the family. I mean, I think they should just take a back step, have a bit of a laugh about themselves, and maybe not take themselves so seriously.
Exactly.
You know, I agree with what was written here. The real truth is that South Park said what nobody else could without being threatened, sued, blacklisted, canceled, losing their jobs, losing their reputation, attacked by Twitter mobs, or being personally attacked with lies. And the fact that they're in the United States helped a lot. South Park is unable to be controlled by the Sussex's spin machine. That's absolutely true. Now, it's being reported by Neil Sean that Harry wants to get revenge on South Park by going on Saturday Night Live. I have to agree, it's not a good idea to take on the professionals of comedy, but it could go out maybe the night of the coronation. You know how that goes. Now, to end this, you should know that South Park made a prediction for Harry and that it's the end of their marriage. But I happen to agree with this prediction because at the end, Harry is off playing the drums with the kids and he's happy. It's probably the happiest you've seen him throughout the entire episode. Yep. So, you guys know what's happening here. Don't forget to leave those comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, double check and make sure you're still subscribed because people are still being unsubscribed. Don't forget to go up into the description box and get the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon. So if something happens to my channel, you know where to find me. For those of you who have donated through the coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.